let's dive into the next topic. Next topic, which I was alarmed by. I'm not going to lie. This one triggered me a little bit. And it's that David Peralta, he ended up playing through a flexor tendon injury in his left arm that required surgery, and he played through that issue since the All-Star break, since around the All-Star break. So they were aware of this injury. And at the end of season exit interview with Andrew Friedman, I was in attendance, and he was asked if there were any Dodgers that were going to require surgery. And him and Brandon Gomes, they looked at each other, and they said no. And guess what? They weren't lying, because David Peralta isn't a Dodger. David Peralta is a free agent, right? Also, they might have interpreted the question as, is there any Dodgers that you actually care about their health right now that are going to require surgery? And I'm here to tell you that they were never going to consider bringing back David Peralta. And I think that it was probably a situation similar to the Tony Gonsolin situation, where there was communication between the player and the organization. David Peralta, who's on a 1-year, $6.5 million contract, he probably said, look, I can manage the pain. I can play through this. I want to try to set myself up for another payday. The Dodgers are looking at him saying, you were a player on a 1-year contract. Let's drive him like a rented car. You ever have a rented car? Those are the fastest cars on the road, right? The rented cars. You don't care about them, right? Because you know they're going to be gone. It's just a rental. But the issue I have is the fact that you knew about this before the trade deadline, and you didn't go out there and get some reinforcements that could play his position, that could really have an impact that you thought that David Peralta was supposed to have. Because why did they bring in David Peralta? One, his defense, and he was a Gold Glove Award finalist. You got to give him credit for that. But two, for his bat-to-ball skills, for his ability to put the ball in play. He got the Dodgers' first walk-off of the season on Jackie Robinson Day, right? So you got to give him credit for that. There's no doubt about that. But if you look at the number, I bring my facts to the fight. And from the start of the season up until July 14th, he had a 278 batting average, a 102 weighted runs created plus. So he was above league average by 2 points. But after that, after July 14th, he absolutely cratered. That train fell off the tracks. His season was derailed by that injury. He had 236 with a 58 weighted runs created plus, and he did not leave the yard after the All-Star break. He did not hit one home run for the rest of the season. You're talking about an outfielder, a corner outfielder. That's a position where you want some pop, you want some power. He hit 7 home runs on the year, not one after the All-Star break. And not only do you, one, not go out there and make trades, and if you guys have watched this show all season long, what did I say? Go out there and trade for Tommy Pham. Go out there and look for another impact outfield bat, a guy that can slug, a guy that can put his bat on the ball, some postseason performers. But you bring in a Rosario, a Kike Hernandez. Yes, those are pretty nice pieces, but not someone that's going to move the needle. And Tommy Pham has had a bad NLCS, but he had a really good DS. He's shown some life, he's shown some pop. And then on top of that, Chris Taylor, who had been swinging the bat very well, he performed well there in Game 3. Why didn't Chris Taylor get more opportunities, right? Why did David Peralta get those opportunities in the first 2 games of the series? He ended up going 1 for 6 in the NLDS. And to his credit, he got a double. I don't know if you remember this, but he hilariously did the Freddie dance when the Dodgers were down by like 5,000 runs in that game. And that was pretty hilarious. It was still very early in the game, so I don't hold that against him. I would have done the exact same thing, because you got to give faith into your offense. You got to try to spark a comeback. So I have no issue with that. But the Dodgers ended up with 4 extra base hits in 3 games in the NLDS loss to the Diamondbacks. One of those came from David Peralta. He goes 1 for 6, but still, I just don't understand how you can allow him to be put in that position. Like I said, I mean, for as a whole, 25 doubles on the year. He slashed 259, 294, 381, played over 133 games, and that was the Dodgers' best lineup offensively, where you have Peralta, Outman, and Hayward in the outfield, and Mookie Betts at second base, and Rojas at shortstop. But I just don't understand how you can't go out there at the trade deadline, find another bat, knowing that you have a player playing through a flexor tendon injury. I think that was a major mistake by this team. Like I said, I don't have any issue at all whatsoever with Andrew Friedman saying that at the press conference, because what does it even matter? I mean, the reality is David Peralta could have hit 400 in the NLDS, and they probably would have still lost that series with how bad their pitching was, with how bad Mookie and Freddie were, with how bad the rest of this lineup performed in clutch situations. But still, it's just another example of something that leaves a bad taste in your mouth from this 2023 Dodgers season. But let me know down below in the comment section, what are your thoughts on David Peralta, who posted a picture on his Instagram? He had the injury, got the surgery. We'll see what happens with the rest of his career. But the fact that, man, he's playing through an injury the entire season. You can't let these players play with those check engine lights on. You got to get them to the shop, get them fixed, right? Get a rental car. They should have gone out there and got a really nice rental car. But let's go down below in the comment section. I want to know what you guys had to say on the matter. Get Nolan. We're talking about Nolan Arenado coming up in our next segment. Steve May should have a Dodgers top 10 mistake show. It was funny. I was driving here and I was actually thinking about that because I like pain. Yeah, I like to feel sad sometimes. And I think it's, for some reason, therapeutic. So maybe we'll consider doing that. Cole, D-Mac, Muncy, Vargas, Grove for Arenado sound fair? No. Definitely have to increase the price. I think we'll talk about that in the next segment. I don't want to spoil that, so we'll talk about that. But have your Arenado takes ready to go because I have a ton of them here. We're also going to talk about Matt Chapman, who a lot of you have asked me about over the last couple of weeks. Doug, it seems like the Dodgers hide player injuries. I'm still wondering about J.D. Martinez. That's from Juan Jimenez. Look, they are cagey when it comes to injuries. They're not completely forthright. Really, what it comes down to is you just have to speak fluent Dave Roberts. You have to speak fluent Andrew Friedman. For someone like Dave Roberts, he's going to be someone I feel good about him. We're going to send him here, send him there. We feel like they're going to be confident when they come back and this and that. But the reality is they don't owe anything to anyone. I mean, it's not their job to keep everyone completely informed about injuries, but it's the same situation kind of reoccurring again. I think their issue, though, is that they're more idealistic than realistic. This is an organization that thrives on positivity, right? That's really been the MO of the Dodgers, right? Choir boys, optimistic, glass half full. We're going to win this. We're going to win that. We're going to do this. 100-win seasons, right? Where sometimes some pessimism here and there, sometimes a little realism in there can help you because you're looking at it through a clear lens. And I think it really just kind of speaks to what I've been saying this entire offseason when it comes to Andrew Friedman and Dave Roberts and the rest of the organization. Don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do. That's just the reality. I watch every single minute of every single one of these press conferences, right? Most of the time, you can just tune it out, right? You can just tune it out, like you're watching Peanuts, right? You can just tune it out because most of the time, it's a lot of cliches. It's a lot of corporate speak and this and that, a lot of word salads and this and that. But the reality is Andrew Friedman said and told us that by his actions that he didn't want to go out there and get an impact outfielder. You wanted to roll the David Peralta, but you also can mention, how about Michael Busch? Michael Busch is someone who pretty much is left in this too. You have to talk about Michael Busch because Busch is someone who didn't get his opportunities. He could have used more opportunities. Of course, he's someone that did play a little bit on the outfield, but if this is a year where you want to bring these guys in and you want to go with the youth movement and you're seeing the success that James Outman's having, Miguel Vargas wasn't the same success, but still, Michael Busch is someone who also did get his opportunity. But I just want to say Chris Taylor is the one for me. Not going to get in trade is the one for me. But let's dive down below the comment section. And when we're going to dive into the topic on the third base, the hot corner, Nolan Arenado, Matt Chapman. Who else is on the market? How bad is Max Muncy's defense? But here, let's dive down below in the comment section. We got Ohtani is key to JD, Bob Smith. Yeah, so a quick thought on that. I think this is how you'll see it play out. I think there's going to be pressure on Shohei Ohtani to make his decision as soon as possible. I don't anticipate a signing like a Bryce Harper, a Manny Machado. I don't anticipate it going deep into the spring because the entire industry is going to be tapping their feet and waiting for Mr. Shohei Ohtani to make his decision. It's going to be the Caddyshack scene. We're waiting. Everyone's going to be waiting on Shohei Ohtani because that's the big domino. And J.D. Martinez, he's someone who stands to benefit in some capacity with the decision that Shohei Ohtani makes. Hey Soler, a lot of these guys out there are their seasons are going to change, whether guys become available on the trade market, whether free agents end up signing because of him, the premium of the DH position. Remember, the designated hitter is in both leagues now, right? The designated hitter, if you can hit, you can rake, there's a position for it. You're not limited to just the American League. So that's the big question with JD Martinez. I still don't believe the Dodgers will bring back JD Martinez, even if they don't get Shohei Ohtani. I think at that point, you just pick up Max Muncy's club option, which they're going to do no matter what, 100% with a bullet. And then you allow him to be the DH, and then you kind of revisit what you do at this third base position because they know it's an issue. With Peralta, too many choo-choos. That's from V. Guzman. That's a fire take. Fire take. Nando 390, if the Cards eat most of the contract, then yes to Arenado. I don't think they're going to eat most of the contract, right? You still have over $80 million on it, and I think it's an easy contract. This is a drop in the bucket, but I don't want to talk about Arenado until our next segment, so we'll tease it. JD hit 30 home runs and 100 RBI. Yeah, 33 home runs. The production was there. The WAR is not crazy because he's a designated hitter. He can still produce, but the injury issues, his injury issue, the groin, the hamstring, the back, I mean, he was dealing with a lot of stuff, and you usually don't get healthier as you get older, right? Do you really want to invest in a JD Martinez when you saw it happen with Justin Turner? A few years ago, you gave him a nice deal, and he wasn't able to complete the NLCS. He went out with a hamstring injury. I think this Dodgers team, with Freddie and Mookie getting older, you want to get younger or get players in their absolute primes, right? Unless you're getting players on a one-year deal, what I always say, there's no such thing as a bad one-year contract. JD Martinez on a one-year, $10 million deal, boom, chef kiss. Love it. That's a great deal. On a 2 or 3 year deal, I'm not so sure, because don't underestimate the power of a hitter in his contract season. Because let's not forget, yeah, he hit 33 home runs this year, had hit 16 the year before. So there's no telling that you're going to guarantee that success moving forward. But let's do some more comments. We're going to head to our next segment. We're talking about all about the third base position. D-Mac should be on the Dodgers analytics team. I would, trust me, I'd go all in. We would have no prospects. We would have no I would trade we had no farm system. I'd go all in. Trust me, that money burns a hole in my pocket. Remember when you got money for Christmas from your grandma? I spent it like the next morning, okay? I'd be spending all the money. Video games, Mortal Kombat, whatever it was. So I don't know if I'd be good at that. I think I can just give my opinion on it. That's all I can provide as far as value here. But Kershaw, because ownership is cheap from Justin Lamas, Nando 390, Dodgers desperately want these multiple-time Tommy John pitchers to pan out. That is an organizational choice that they have made. And look, they drafted Walker Buehler later in that round because he had Tommy John surgery. They have no issues bringing guys in with Tommy John surgery. I think, for one, they have access to the best medical personnel in the business. You have Dr. Neil Elitrach, right? You have their team realizes that, look, Tommy John surgery, 33% of pitchers get Tommy John surgery. The great Billy Beane, who is really Brad Pitt in the movie Moneyball, right? He said there's two types of pitchers. One's that have gotten Tommy John and ones that are going to get Tommy John. So I'm not totally against that. I can hear you. We got Yamamoto and Soto because they're both young and you get a ton of prime years left. I'm with you on the ton of prime years left. I don't know if you guys saw my interview I did yesterday with JP Hornstra, but it was jam-packed with information on Yamamoto, on Ohtani, on the Dodgers' plans this offseason. If you did not watch that, go back and watch yesterday's episode. We're also going to drop some clips from that over the weekend because he had some very interesting thoughts on Yamamoto. They poured a little bit of cold water on my Yamamoto aspirations. I still do want them, though, but a couple more here, and we're going to head to our next segment. We got Dave Roberts in the front office. Oh, fans, the honesty. The fans see through their BS, and we know when players like Kershaw are injured. Just be honest. That's from Geschmick. Look, I mean, that's a fair point. I don't necessarily disagree, but also trust what your eyes are telling you. You don't need Kershaw or Dave Roberts to tell you that Kershaw's injured when the velocity is down, when the command is down. It's clear that he's injured. All these players, too, at that stage of the season are dealing with some degree of injuries. They're not all 100%. They're always dealing with something, especially pitchers. But Lakers better win tonight. It's from Samurai. Word salad, haha, that's from Boomer. But a couple more here. We're going to change topics. Bush didn't get an opportunity, overshadowed bad time. Yeah, I think we're going to spend a whole episode next week on the young players, Michael Bush. We're actually going to try to get Michael Bush on the show. So Let's look out for that one. By the way, Jerry Harrison Jr. on tomorrow's episode. You won't want to miss that. But